Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today I'm with two very special guests, Kokane and Kool Rock Ski.
Yeah, man.
This is crazy. You two on a podcast. Has that happened before yet?
Not yet.
Well, actually, we did your publicist, Samantha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's Get Activated podcast.
Yeah, let's get activated.
That's dope. So how do you guys even know each other?
We were locked up together.
Yeah, we was locked at Rikers Island. We was locked up. I was making the spread, and I seen this buff dude came through. I said, "Yo, son, you look like Kool Rock." Nah, we met over the internet, and he's been doing it for a minute, and I've been doing it for a minute. And I reached out to him personally. You know what I'm saying? Seen him on the podcast on my little bro podcast, actually, Soren Baker. And I was putting a project together to where I wanted to reach out to the pillars, the architects of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted to do it different from what's popular out there, so to speak. So I reached out to the brother, and he responded back, and we took it from right there. The conversation was good, and I think anything that you want to mix it up with, you want to have a good conversation because you're trying to feel some people. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of people we meet, and you can relate to this, Kool Rock. You see them on the surface, but when you see them behind closed doors, there can be some real legitimate assholes about it.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh,
So when we met, I sent the message. He sent back. He heard of me.
Okay.
We start building from that point, and I put a song together with a cat by the name of The Chill, who his partner is MC8, that Compton's Most Wanted, been in Menace to Society and all that good stuff. So they shot me the beat, him and a cat named Rob T. I shot it over to my brother Kool Rock Ski, and he was feeling it, and the rest is history from there.
Wow. So Kool Rock, when's the first time you heard Kokane's music? Do you think it was when he was collaborating with Snoop Dogg, or?
I'm collaborating with Snoop Dogg. I think I'm most familiar with the I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's no hat. Was that Badass?
Yeah, badass me, badass.
Right. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Sure.
But his name been circulating around the industry for years, so I knew who he was. So it wasn't when he hit me up on the DM, it was like, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
That was a no-brainer, you know what I mean?
Do you think you were kind of inspired by Kool Rock to make music? He's like one of the...
Oh, absolutely. You got to realize, for
Bring the mic a little closer.
For those that are real hip hop heads, they know your Curtis Blows, they know, Grandmaster Flash, Sugar Hill, Run DMC, Fat Boys, the late great Biz Markie, the Juice Crew, those, Salt and Pepper, Houdini, they pillars of hip hop. And when it started in the mecca of hip hop, it had so much of an impact in all the ghettos and the house parties that, we were just amazed, growing up in the 70s, being able to experience the beginnings of hip hop just as well as being saturated and absorbing the soul and funk sound. Once these cats came in the early 80s, there was really two groups. Well, I can name at least three, but primarily two groups to really broaden this thing that we love so much called hip hop.
Yes, sir.
And that was Run DMC, and that was the Fat Boys. They were on the equal basis with each other. And, it's crazy because, we come from California where, Ice-T did the 6 in the Morning record, which drew the blueprint to what Eric and Dre and the whole NWA card, and myself in particular, to this thing we call Gangsta Rap. But we were vibing, off cats like Kool Rock Ski, Prince Markie D, Buff Love, you know what I'm saying? They were able to really get it to the masses. It was so into our culture, the black culture, you know what I'm saying, the brown too. It didn't get a chance to explode. But when these cats came on the scene, and like cats like Run DMC it brought across the world. They did movies from Crush Groove to Disorderlies. It's like one of my top 10 funny movies of all time, which was hip hop. And it's like after they came on the scene, then it just really exploded. And once the white folks got a hold of it, just like once the white folks got a hold of NWA, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy. It just hit a jugular vein, and everybody, I don't care what color you were, hip hop was here to stay when you heard groups like Fat Boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, as an artist growing up, I grew up from music royalty. My dad was a Motown great, did records with Little Richard, Frank Sinatra, just 500 compositions over there, some of the greatest songs you ever heard. So I grew up in music, but the influence when hip-hop came, these guys was it. The Fat Boys, man. You know what I'm saying? So I was more than honored, Brother Kool Rock Ski, to do a song with somebody that not only I grew up to, but had a major influence on me as well as an artist. So salute to that, man. They incredible group, incredible impact, and you know.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir. The record Hush came out.
Yes, sir.
It's making some noise overseas, real big. It's making some noise over here, but over here it's just different diverses of things. So it's kind of really, you know.
That's what I want to get
hard
into.
to just break in when the little babies is here and the trapping is here and this is there.
Yeah, it's like elbow room. You know what I'm saying? You got to try to get your elbow room.
But over there in Australia and people like, you know, Japan, Tanzania, Africa, Germany, they really like, oh my God, you and Kool Rock Ski did a record and it sounds dope.
Yes.
Right.
You know, so.
It's crazy because you guys both aren't, you're honestly not that old, but for hip hop, for some reason we have this like ageism. Whether if you're like if you're like a rock star, you can tour until you're 80 if you're in great health, right?
Yeah. Right.
So how do you guys feel as, especially Kool Rock has been like a pillar in hip hop? How does it feel for like the newer generation of hip hop to not? They don't really fuck with older artists almost. It feels like, unless you're a Jay-Z who can offer someone a huge bag. Like, how does that make you guys feel?
It's, you know what? It doesn't make me feel bad because I know my lane. You understand? So I'm not trying to reach out to whoever's hot, you know, whether it be the baby or whoever's hot, and I'm not trying to reach out to them. We, you know, and I'm not even trying to be egotistical or pat myself on the back, but we laid down the foundation. Us, Run DMC, Houdini, you know, whoever came along with us, Curtis Blow. So why do we have to reach out and say, hey, notice us and give us praise and all that stuff? The reason why you're here, you're rapping today, is because of us. And the reason why we're rapping is because of groups like Flash Furious 5, Fearless 4, Treacherous 3, Cold Crush 4. So, you know, it is what it is. And plus, they're not being taught. They don't want to be taught about the classic hip hop artists. Whereas you can get a young white artist, musician, and he'll reach back and try to emulate a Mick Jagger or, you know, whoever came way before him. He has no problem doing that. This particular generation, more hip hop period, they really don't reach out to one. It's an egotistical thing. It's I ain't trying to reach out to him, and it's a competition thing. So, you know, with that being said, you know, we did a song and we didn't have to add on any new artists. And this song is dope. And we didn't have to reach out to no new artists to say, hey, come be on our song. Now, once the song reaches potential and it gets hotter and hotter, I guarantee you a new artist is going to want to come and say, hey, can I spit a verse on that? You understand? So, like I said, we don't have to reach out. Why should we? You come to us. We don't have to come to you. And once again, that's not being egotistical. That's just saying, hey, you know, we laid down the foundation for you to eat and get paid and all this stuff. Why do I have to reach out to you? You know?
Right.
But it feels like business-wise or even like morally-wise in the hip-hop industry, many things haven't really changed. You still hear about, oh, have you tapped into the white audience yet? Have you tapped into the black audience yet? Like, I listen to like Charlemagne the God. He's of course part of the Breakfast Club. He also has his own podcast. And his biggest thing is like he loves like Little Baby, but he talks about does he really have like the white fans yet? Like that's
Yeah.
what's stopping people, like stopping some artists from truly getting to that next level, because white people can't relate to being like a gangster rapper.
Well, you know what? Sometimes that depends, you know, because when we were making records, and I know Kool Rock can back me up on this, it was like James Brown coming out saying, "I'm black and I'm proud," but who was singing that?
Right.
It was an all-white audience.
Wow.
Right, exactly.
And even in James Brown days. So you got to look at it. Music is music. Ain't no substitution for good. I don't care what color you are. You know what I mean? But we were able to do the type of music from a suppressed environment, which people call ghettos. And no one didn't anticipate it would be a phenomenon in the new rock and roll.
Yep.
No one thought it would surpass a certain years of things. But here we are. Here's hip-hop. It's so diverse. It's tapped into commercials. It's tapped in. Hip-hop is like a gospel in its own self. And all we just saying, it's like we're not knocking the young generation, but where we came from, we had etiquette, and we just want to reintroduce those principles to where you can't just pick up a cockroach or gossip about that and claim that's hip-hop, because it's not. It's something else. I'm not going to knock it. But the foundation of hip-hop was to raise the consciousness. Like you said on the video, it's an expression of where you're from. And at the same time, everybody felt good when they hit the party.
Right. It's a feel-good. It was a feel-good vibe, feel-good music, feel-good culture. I think once it started to expand, and the powers, the so-called powers that be, we still don't know who the powers that be are. So let's just call them corporation now. Once they started to dig their hands into the cookie jar and say we could market this and make money off of it and give the artist peanuts, that's when it started to subside and get into the wrong hands, and people not doing it for the culture, people not doing it for the love of it. They were just doing it for the money. You understand? So this is why you have artists today who don't give a damn about artists of yesteryear when it comes to hip hop. They'd rather reach out to a Charlie Wilson or Earth, Wind and Fire to do a song with them, as opposed to reach out to a Kokane or a Kool Rock or whoever.
Wow.
You understand?
Right. But things are starting to uplift. If you notice, and I was glad me and Kool Rock was chopping it up, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, when Jadakiss and the Locks, and of course Dipset, but really Jada, when he got up there in Madison Square Garden,
favorite artist of mine,
you couldn't get much bigger. It was really reintroducing and setting the tone, and initiating a balance. Like, look, all that old stuff that y'all do is cool, but if you're a football player, don't say you LeBron James playing basketball, because that's like Chinese arithmetic. I don't understand it. That's not hip hop. So I was glad cats like that, it was right on time to expose that across the world, and plus the stocks went up, because prior to that event happening, we put out a record, did the video. The love is just amazing, but the love is more worldwide because people actually genuinely love hip hop. They love the fact that, hey, Kool Rock Ski and Kokane did a record. You can't. It's only so long you can go to the WWF, even though they pack the audience. But those moves are not real.
Right.
They're scripted.
Yeah.
So records like what we did, it's really telling people that, hey, man, this is raw hip hop in the flesh. It's not scripted.
Do you think there's a difference between hip hop and rap?
I mean, they one and the same.
Hip hop is just a culture.
Yeah.
Rap is what you do. Hip hop is just a culture.
And do you think artists care about the culture anymore, or do you think they care more about the bag?
I don't think they know how the culture started. That's the thing. I don't think they don't really care how it started. But you can't really blame them, because they're just going after the money aspect of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't come from the same generation, the same era I came from, or where Kokane came from, where somebody would come to my junior high school on a Monday and blast a Cold Crush 4 tape at the lunch table, or what the Treacherous 3 were doing, or what Phillies 5 was doing. So nobody's going to come and play an old Jay-Z coming up song to one of these new artists while they're still in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
this is Jay-Z from back in '88. They're going to be like, man, I don't care about that crap. I want to hear what the baby did back in, 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it's just a thing where they don't want to know where it comes from. And it's a thing where we're so conditioned and brainwashed. You got to realize we're so conditioned and brainwashed to go against one another that it even transforms over to the music.
Wow.
You understand? So that's just the thing. And I can't blame the new artists for not reaching out and respecting the artists that they got the music from. They just look at it as hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So when they look at it as hip hop, the first thing that comes to their mind is, I gotta act a certain way. But they don't know that the hip hop culture actually changed the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? They don't know that the hip hop culture is what got President Clinton in office and Barack Obama in office. It changed the whole structure of this whole world. They don't know that because all they know is the word hip hop.
Wow.
That's it. We know what hip hop is. We know what it means to us. We know how this music, how this culture and this music survived one of the worst eras in Black community, which was the crack era.
Yep.
And it survived that, so it came out of that whole jungle. And hip hop just got bigger, better, and stronger. So when cats was doing it for the love of it and getting screwed by the record companies, that's a whole different subject. They were doing it because they came from a place where they say, yo, this is what I want to do. I'm bad on the mic. I'm dope on the mic. I want to let everybody know how good I am on the mic. These guys nowadays, they don't give a damn about being the best on the mic because you can hardly understand what the hell they're saying.
Yeah.
But they're speaking to their generation. That's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
They're speaking to their particular generation. So even if I can understand it, 17, 16, 15-year-old can understand it.
Right.
But they, a 17, 16, 15-year-old don't know a Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa. They don't know, the cats we mentioned in these songs. They look at a Melly Mel like he's some kind of senior citizen rapper. They don't know nothing about Melly Mel. And so they don't want to look him up, So
I think
it is what it is.
Because of the internet,
Right.
it left everything open for just crazy things to happen. Like of course we come from your worst neighborhoods and different other things. But when we was doing hip hop, even in the Eazy-E days,
Right.
as hard as it was, fuck the police, you could see 30 some odd years later, there's really no change. So there was like real street reporting. But where the internet really put a lot of negative things on steroids is that people thought keeping it real is coming from their hood, holding up Dracos, gang banging, and that's music. And what it done, because people are programmed. Just look at television. You say television. It's a program. You can actually, have subjective imagery, and the more and more it's just drilled into your head, it becomes that. And it's like it made it popular to really put the violence and everything back into it because we were street reporting, but wasn't nobody decide, man, I'm gonna go over here. Yeah, you would hear little things would happen in the industry, this person, your pop, but the way it happens now, it needs to get reorganized because gangbanging, streets, and different things don't have nothing really to do with the music business and entertainment business. It's just like I can't see myself doing a Denzel Washington movie like Malcolm X, and then turn around and do Training Day. But when I come home, I got a Draco in my hand or doing this. People really took it out of context. And that's the sad part about, about hip hop or the current state of hip hop is that we tend to celebrate the negative aspect and intertwine that into things that should have no business being in that, because this is the music business, this is the entertainment business. And I just think now it's about to be a paradigm shift due to all these things happening, you know, from George Floyd to certain things that are happening in our community still. People are getting tired in the music, believe it or not, of just things that's not going to produce inspiration in the most positive fashion. And that's what we're saying. We're not saying our generation is better. We're just saying let's get back to what made us have some damn sense.
Right.
It's not about what you say. Just like you could say, you could be a gangster rapper, but when you come home, you don't have to be Denzel Washington in Training Day or Malcolm X.
Right.
You could just be Denzel.
Right.
And I think people took their persona to a whole nother level, and it's influencing. You know, you might be making a lot of money, but some of it is influencing the kids in your worst way. That's why you have more teenagers committing suicide. That's why you have more violence in the hood, because I show you where the music is at, I'll show you where society is at.
Right.
And we put these records together to say, not that we don't care about the young generation, because we do care, but we want to be able to say, hey man, you know what I mean? Handle your business. You don't have to take your Draco and snitch on everybody on camera all day because you want to be famous.
Right.
Nah, man, that's a facade. And if we could do anything as pillars of community, of hip hop, we have more than a responsibility and obligation to really tell the real. Once we have the podium, you know, we're always going to tell you the real, whether it's through a record or whether it's through articulating in this interview. You know what I mean?
But like Kool Rock pointed out, as soon as hip hop got any type of buzz, like record labels came along. Like as soon as any buzz came. So do you think hip hop in general ever got the chance to make a solid foundation for a community? And if it hasn't, what does it take to make an actual community that you guys hope?
It did make it. We created our own community. We created our own. I mean, you take two records and scratch them on turntables. Who would ever think that could be an art form? So, except the people that was there to see it and see it grow. We never made fun of our culture or our music. It was the people in the industry who was making fun of the culture and the music and wanted it just to go away. We were like, we ain't going nowhere. We're selling records, we're making money, we're selling our tours. And as it started to get bigger and bigger, then everybody wanted to say, okay, we're down for what you guys are doing. Here's a couple of dollars. So they started putting out acts who wasn't selling because they just wanted to make a quick buck. They wanted the next Run DMC, the next Houdini, the next Fat Boys, the next LL Cool J, the next Beastie Boys. And it wasn't getting that because it's, you know, you were just putting out anything. So another thing, like Kokane was saying about a lot about what's going on right now with the music, a lot of these cats is getting into this thing with this mentality, like they gotta be tough. So somebody is at some kind of selling point and saying, well, the only way you can sell yourself is to talk about the gangster image, is talk about how tough you are. You know, all this bullshit that has nothing to do with the music. So why are you coming into the music business with all this, nobody gonna fuck with me and I got a crew? And I'm like, whoa, what about the music? I don't care about not who's down with you or, you know, whatever you're talking about. It has nothing to do with you as being an artist, you know. And so, I mean, I think about 95, 96, it started to take a downward spiral as far as it not being about the culture, not being about the music, but being more about who has the toughest crews, who can kill more people on one record, you know. It's just, it had nothing to do with the music. You know, Melly Mel, the last verse of The Message by Duke Booty and Melly Mel is one of the hardest rhymes you'll ever hear in rap. And you could pick apart every lyric, every word, and pretty much make a song out of that.
Right.
But I think, like I said, along the way, this thing just got out of control. I think the record labels was finding a way to ridicule the culture, to make a mockery of the culture. It's young black men doing it. So why not have young black men talking about nigga killing one another and I'll shoot your whole family up and I'm down? Come on, that has nothing to do with, you know, to do with the music or the culture.
But do you think
back to the rock? No, go ahead.
Do you think NWA influenced that at all, or do you think it was after
No,
NWA?
no, because
No, I
NWA, they pretty much set the tone of what was going on in their neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
New York rappers wasn't talking about getting beat up and hassled by the cops. I was getting pulled over just for having a nice car at least 3 to 4 times a week. But I never went in the studio and said, fuck the police. But when NWA came out and said that, I could relate to what they were saying, what they were going through, and what they were saying to young black men at that time.
And look,
but,
go ahead.
No, I'm saying, but I think once they came out and people started seeing, they didn't get the message. What they did was do it for shock value. I could say the word nigga. I could say fuck you, bitch, and all that shit. They did it for shock value, not for the artist, not for the artistry of it. NWA said they painted a picture, and what came after that was just a bunch of craziness.
And we didn't label, because I started from the beginning at Ruthless Records. We didn't even call it Gangsta Rap.
Right.
It was white media that call it Gangsta Rap. We said we street reporters of reality rap.
Right. We call it hardcore.
We call it hardcore hip hop.
Yeah.
Eazy-E was the hip hop. See, hip hop thuckster. We were telling the story, a window of harsh realities that your media is not going to support outside of just putting you on a TV screen in handcuffs. And when you really think about it to this day, you got to think about it. That's why it's very important that while you have your autonomy and independence, to not just sell your pork belly so fast. Because it's the same old cycle that's going on. It happened in Little Richard Day, all those days, Ray Charles. It got a little bit better. You know what I mean? But now this is the season of enlightenment now. I could tell you, and this is the saddest thing in the world, as much as I like BET, as much as I like all these networks, not one black person owns it.
Right.
Right.
Not one.
The BET is just BET turned into EBT overnight.
But my whole point of it is like you have to be able to not talk about the branches, but go to the root. At that time when NWA was making up records, and it was brothers getting Clinton, they were signing bills and stuff to lock brothers up in jail extra. Yeah. At the same time. So you gotta say, who is the real gangsters? Or who is the one in a suppressed environment with no economic independence, low education. It's a systematic thing that happened, degradation through generations. It's like now we are starting to wise up, instead of talking about the branches, talk about the root to the problem. And that's one thing that you will get out of, cats like us, is that, hey, we doing records, but hip hop stood for something consciously. It was a chance to open up the doors to talk about matters that nobody else wouldn't put on their platform. Right. And that's the importance of just recognizing how important hip-hop was to our community that lived in that suppression, and how is important it is, across the world, because there's ghettos across the world now, because when they heard of Kool Rock Ski, Fat Boys, and Kokane, we get this all day long, man. Your records help save my life. Your records help save my life. And that's the most important thing to me as an artist, not what's happening in a section for the moment like disco, because disco was in and it was a fad and it's going to play out. But music of like substance and things of like consciousness, it'll linger around forever, because you can look, they still talk about Tupac. Right. He's been gone for a minute. Yeah. Right. No matter what, you don't agree with him or not, there was more of a prolific edge. And he paved the way for young prolific artists such as your Nipsey Hussles, who had a different mindset to be able to turn that suppression around and use intelligence to win a war, because only intelligence win a war. So we want to express the intelligence of hip-hop as well as the culture. And, If you got like 20 people going to be a Navy SEAL, really only 2 gonna make it.
Right.
So that's the 2 we talking to.
So it seems like in the 2010s, Kokane, you had definitely a streak of working with like the Absols, the Nipsey Hussles. Do you feel like the younger generation was working with you because you were just like one generation or 2 removed from them, versus I feel like less people reach out to a Kool Rock for like a feature.
Right. Well, I was fortunate to stay doing what I'm doing. A lot of things, I go back and say I wish I would open up that business, but I was kind of one-track minded, stuck to different music. And years later, of course, I know that don't bank your success off music alone. It's about having businesses. That's why when you see your Jay-Z's, it's not that they just winning off music, they winning off their businesses and avenues. So, but I kept it up. People like my style. This is all, this is how I got my fish and bread for the family, is making sure, all over the world, and when people requested my sound, I can contribute that to people that was just interested in whatever I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very grateful, very humble, with all humiliation that, for 30 plus years, this has been an incredible ride, ups and downs, losses, so many losses of greats that I've worked with. But the music, I come from music royalty, so I can't help it. It was in my DNA, you know what I mean? So,
right.
But I like it right now because it's not like we always talk about that. We gotta, youngsters, you gotta get out the mindset of, oh, you too old and this and that, because it's not like we basketball players and your knees go out at 35 years old.
Right.
We just celebrated George Clinton's birthday and he turned 80 years old.
Right.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So some people get it, some people don't, but it's for us to knock down, or at least attempt to knock down the division between the youngsters and the OGs that are trying to hand the baton down. We just want to change the landscape of the mentality a little bit. And whether you do mumble rap, whether you do trap rap or nothing like that, something like that, we want to invoke you to handle your business, and just don't be a porch monkey for the people, for corporate people that expect you to do that.
Right.
Because they're getting money, and if you ask them for a network, they're never going to give you a network. They're going to laugh at you, say, get out there and just do that beautiful tap dance, that beautiful Bojangles thing, whatever you do.
Right.
Do the moonwalk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we have to think different.
Use the money phone. Smile with the grill in your mouth. All kinds of crazy, idiotic bullshit that just have nothing to do with the hip hop culture. But the selling point is nowadays is to act like as much as a damn fool as you possibly could, and at the same time put out all this idiotic music that does nothing to help the cause in the Black communities around America.
Yeah.
So it is, you could sit here for hours and talk about what's wrong with the state of the music and the culture.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, they're not going to listen to Kool Rock and listen to Kokane, because if it's selling, if it's getting downloads, if it's getting streams, what the hell is it? If it's working, they're going to adding gasoline to the fire.
And see, building on that, and youth, y'all need to hear this. It's like when you look at Jay and all them, they was at the Mossy Projects. It was hustling. When you look at Eazy-E, he was the biggest D-boy in his hustle time in Compton from Kelly Park.
Right.
When you look at Nipsey, he was 6-0 Crip. But they wasn't conformed to where they came from. In fact, they used it to their advantage. And where some of them get twisted, you make some money, but then you drag that luggage into a place where you're supposed to not be conformed to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you want to talk about, I'm gangster and this and that, no, keeping it gangster is coming from the ghettos, owning the company, getting your publishing and everything correct, buying your mamas out the house, buying up the community. Now that's what you call keep it gangster, because The ones in those suits in government, they're gonna keep it gangster all day and buy
Right.
everything out.
Those are the
and,
gangsters.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and gentrification you over there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, not to preach to the choir or have a kumbaya moment, but we all, us as pillars of hip hop, people say the OGs don't give a fuck. That's not true. But wisdom means you're not going to continue to talk to a fool because it's going to go through one ear and out the other.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Kool Rock, would you say that Kokane brought you out of retirement to make this song, or?
Actually, I get offered tracks after tracks. I mean, I'm being honest with you.
Right.
I wasn't really feeling none of the tracks. I wasn't really feeling, none of the subject matters. There's a couple of tracks I was like, okay, I wouldn't mind doing something like that. But at the end of the day, I was saying, what am I really doing it for? I'll give you a quick story. Before my partner, Prince Marky D, passed away, I texted him. I said, yo, we should do a song. And I'm just putting it out there because I was in the mood just to go in the studio with him and do a song. The mood could have passed by an hour later. So he said, what are we doing it for? I said, we're doing it for our audience. And he said, what did you have in mind? And I gave him a song. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I Found Love by the Fatback Band. And he said, what's the subject? I said, we could talk about anything. We're grown men now. We talk about love. We could talk about the state of America, what's going on with the COVID. We could talk about, just partying, having a good time. And he was like, yo, I like the track. Now, an hour later, I'm saying to myself, I really don't feel like putting no song out. But it was just something for the moment. So we really didn't elaborate on it. But once again, like I get offered tracks all the time from artists you never heard of before. And they just say, hey, can you do a feature? Can you do a 16 bar, 24 bar, whatever? And I turn it down. I'm like, I don't feel like doing this stuff. But when he came along with the track and I heard the beat and I heard the hook, I was like, okay, now I can rock with something like this. This is right up my alley. And he's coming from, maybe I'm 2 years older than him, but he's coming from a place where he knows about, the group. He knows about, he's been to the Fresh Festival tours. He knows about Crush Groove. So he knows the ins and out of the music industry. He knows the ins and outs of the group. So I can rock with him. I can relate to him. So I think a lot of people was just reaching out to me because Mark passed away. And it was like, well, I could get the last Fat Boy on a song.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
That's opportunistic.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. First of all, I'm not the last Fat Boy. I'm just a member of the Disco 3. And I took the name and just kept Disco 3 because we were Disco 3 before Fat Boys. The industry changed us into the Fat Boys because of one hit song. And we went along with it. Instead of just saying Disco 3 / Fat Boys, we could have kept that. Mm-hmm. But they was like, well, we can't market the word disco anymore and all this stuff. So we fell for it. But aside for all that, like I said, when he came along with the song, I was like, it wasn't like being out of retirement. I just wasn't really feeling, there was nothing out there where I was saying to myself, like, damn, I would love to jump on that track. You know what I mean? So when he came with the track, he came with the hook. I'm like, yo, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? It's dope. It's catchy. The beat is bananas. It's crazy. And I didn't have to try to change up a flow with what these young cats is doing. I didn't have to do the I didn't have to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I could just rap the way I wanted to rap. And he came with, straight fire with his lyrics. And I pretty much just came behind him with the same kind of flow I had since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it was just, just more energy into it. And like I said, people love it. People love the song. People love it. And when they hear it, they can't stop singing the hook. I had a brother call me the other day. He said he was singing the hook all day till his wife was like, cut that shit out. I don't want to hear that no more.
That's a beautiful problem to have.
Right, exactly. He said, but that hook is so catchy, it's just a really catchy hook and it's a real dope song. If you play that song at a high decibel level with big speakers, I'm guarantee you cannot sit in your seat. You're going to, I'm not trying to sell the song like that. I'm just saying, I'm just being honest. You can't sit in your, even me, I heard the song like 1,000 times. Played it on big speakers. I was like, oh, damn, this is dope. Like I heard it for the first time. Just a real dope song.
It's just slaps.
It's exciting to me
Yeah.
to see like how older artists are like finding social media as a way to connect with one another. Like I had Del the Funky Homo Sapien on, and I hit up Kokane because they're about to put a project out with Kokane is about to put a project out with Sugar Free. And
Right.
I was interviewing Del, and he was like, you know who I really want to work with? Sugar Free and Redman. I was like, that's awesome. He's not trying to work with like a Lil Wayne or someone newer.
Right.
He's like, no, I want to work with these artists that I was inspired by that never got the chance to work with.
Right. But
Let
that's
me
dope.
add to something real quick. Last week, I don't know if you guys seen this. Andre 3000 from Outkast.
Yes.
He was talking about rappers rapping past 40 years old, and he was saying he don't want to see that because it's like a boxer past his prime. Like he don't have that jab anymore. He don't have that hook. I knew what he was saying, what he was trying to get at. Like they don't have that same energy they had when they was in their prime. But this is music. You don't have to be in your prime when you have. Listen, Frank Sinatra was 86 years old and still performing on stage before he
Man,
passed
praise.
away. And nobody was saying Frank Sinatra was too old. They was coming out to his concert to listen to one of the greatest crooners in music history.
Right.
Nobody was saying he lost a step. They was just appreciating this man because they know he wasn't going to be around too long. With rappers in their 40s and 50s, just like the expiration date them past that 35. The hell with 40 and 50. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, these young cats is calling Lil Wayne old. Oh, he old. I ain't trying to mess with
I'm
him.
like,
He's too old.
you know how, if you even know Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, but for some reason, we take pop shots at each other the most.
Yeah.
They don't do that in rock and roll.
But wasn't that the
know.
start of
They
hip-hop,
don't do that in
though?
country. Look at Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the start of hip-hop, though, right? You guys like saying who's a better lyricist. But is that different than how people treat each other now?
I mean, you listen to Big Bank Hank's rhyme is what he said. I got a color TV so I can see the Knicks play back. That's just bragging. That's what hip hop was all about, just bragging. Hip hop wasn't all about saying I could shoot 10 motherfuckers in one day and not go to jail for it. You know, it wasn't about that kind of crap. It was just about feel good, funny, and bragging.
Right.
You know, like I said, it lost its way after a while because they upped the ante with more of the violence in the music and the lyrics.
Right.
You know, but you know, in the beginning, it was all about. You listen to Flash and the Furious 5. Nothing was about violence. It was all about having a good time.
Yeah, uplifting yourself.
Right.
Uplifting yourself and going to a party and talking to a female or whatever you wanted to do. Like I said, you know, you look at the Public Enemy era. It was uplifting the Black community and teaching them about people like, you know, Medgar Evers and Malcolm X and Farrakhan.
Yeah, Marcus
Garvey, and there was nothing violent in their music.
Right.
You know, X-Clan, you know, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. But like I said, at some point, and one more thing, there's no balance in the music no more. If you want to do your so-called gangster rap, you can do that. If you want to do your love rap, if you want to do your conscious rap, if you want to do your party rap, we don't have that no more. We have one lane right now for hip hop, for the music. And that lane is just talking about the same old crap.
Yeah.
In every damn song. Like T-Pain went off and like, yo, do something different. Don't do what he's doing.
Oh, I felt him on that one.
You know?
Like, you know, when you have too much stuff that are redundant, you really become a creature of habit and don't have no innovation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So people like Zapp and Roger were innovators, and Prince was an innovator.
Right.
You know, the world is paying attention now. The world is saying, okay, it's only this type of style of stuff can only go so long.
Right.
Without having some type of balance.
Yeah.
You know, even when we were making records through the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, right? It was okay to listen to a Chuck D and then listen to an NWA.
Right. Exactly.
It wasn't just all NWA.
Right.
It was a balance.
Right.
And music needs a balance. It cannot, you know, popular music at this time, and I'm going to be brutally honest, it has the same cadence.
Yeah.
It has the same low frequency bass on there.
Yeah.
They're practically saying the same rhymes.
Right.
So basically, all this whole generation is only listening to one song. Over,
one big old song that's redundant. It just keeps going around.
And they look at the art of music. Some of them snub their nose to people come out with instruments.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know how to play an instrument? That's whack. That's outdated. When his instruments became outdated.
Right.
But I realized that that's a concentrated focus out in this particular market, because when you go to Canada, you see what the K-pop is doing, the black R&B now.
Yeah.
Because they get it.
Yeah.
They're not on no like, hey, man. That's why they the number one R&B besides Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, cats like that get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, if you're making money doing what you're doing, that's all you know how to do, well, then do it till you're satisfied.
Yeah.
But the world is starting to wake up again and say, man, I'm tired of gossip. I want to hear bars. I want to hear some wisdom on how to sustain my career. You know, they just don't have the Jacquees attitude, Tupac, if he was here, he'd tell you now, I didn't want to die. People take it out of context. Like, now life expectancy for a young rapper is you lucky to get to 25 years old now, 24.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not,
and not to mention the
cool.
media feeds into a lot of this gossip shit and keep these guys going. You look at some of the stuff on YouTube, they keep a beef going for 10, 15 damn years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's over. These guys are friends now.
Yeah.
Remember the time when he went after him and he said this and that? They keep that crap going.
Yeah. Because they love propaganda.
You know,
right.
They love it. They love to see young black men always attacking one another.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? They're not going to put no content where Willie Nelson had a beef with Merle Haggard 50 damn years ago. You understand? They passed that. These are super senior citizens. They're not going to go out there and beef with one another and hit each other with a cane and a walker.
Yeah.
You know, but with rappers, it's just a continuous BS. You know, you got artists. I'm not going to say their names. They keep this crap going.
Right.
As soon as the artist gets hot, here they come. Oh, I exposed him. 2 years ago, he snitched on somebody. 3 years ago, he had a fake Rolex. I mean, I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? But that's the crab in the barrel mentality.
Right.
As soon as you get to the top, come on back down here with us. Be oppressed with us. That kind of BS.
Yeah.
Nobody got time for that. We're trying to uplift community. We're trying to get people back into having a good time. We were shut down last year. Nobody could perform. Nobody could do tours. Nobody could do nothing but sit around and wait. So what came out of the midst of all that was the same old freaking garbage. Nobody, in the 70s when Marvin Gaye came out with What's Going On, he was speaking to a generation of what was going on at that particular time. We have no songs that came out of all of this George Floyd pandemic. We got WAP. That was the big song. We got WAP.
Well, that's the thing also, because I work with I work with up and coming artists, and it's not the fact that every artist is making WAP songs. That's just the music that's being pushed on the billboard,
right, exactly.
which is frustrating. Yeah, that sucks.
And it's frustrating because they're not going to put out the real stuff.
Right.
That's attacking what's going on in America or around the world.
First thing they say, that ain't making no money.
Right.
That ain't doing
that. Yeah, nobody want to hear that.
It ain't based on your money. I'm pretty sure, rest in peace, I'm always a fan. I'm pretty sure when Kobe got into his helicopter with plenty of money that he didn't expect to, pass and crash in the side of a building. No, it's about leaving something.
Right.
Hip hop is about leaving something.
Right.
So what you want to leave? No.
Yeah.
So Kool Rock Ski, after like one of your last albums dropped, like when you stopped making music full time, what'd you start doing after that?
I was robbing banks. I'm just playing. I was just being
That's where you met cocaine, right?
Shh, don't tell me.
No, I mean I was just being a civilian. You understand? We got into this thing at a really, really young age.
Yeah.
And we never had a break. Every time we got off tour, we stay home for like 2 days, go back out on another tour. So by the time we were 22, 23, we were burned out mentally, like burned out. So it was like, well, let's take a break. I know me and Buff, we did a song, we did an album, and we had no structure. You know, they threw a bunch of money at us, and we didn't want any structure. We didn't want to be told when to get up and when to lay down. So it was like we was just having fun with it. So it was like I became a civilian, and I was happy with it. I didn't want no parts of this crap no more. It was like I was done with it. You know what I mean? And I think when we did it and when we got popular at it, we got our families out of bad situations before the storm was coming. In East New York, where I'm from, it got to the point where you was looking at freaking Afghanistan or Beirut when America attacked it. That's how bad it got out there. It was really, really freaking crazy. People I grew up with was putting guns on one another, getting killed. And I'm not just saying that as, you know, every rapper always says that, you know, my friends are getting killed. No, my friends were really getting murdered, you know, and the whole neighborhood was changing. It went from Disneyland to freaking Beirut overnight. So that little community that I lived in East New York, Brooklyn, was just turning into, even the cops wouldn't come around no more. They were like, you can have the streets. We're not messing with those crazy monks. You know what I'm saying? So we got our families out of there at the right time, at the right particular time. And that's what it was all about. It was like God said, I'm going to give you this to get your families out. And after that, I want you out of it. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people won't understand what I'm saying, but some people know what it is when you enter the music industry, when they get in and get the hell out before it gets too drastic.
That's brutal. It's definitely worse than the dope game.
Yeah, exactly. So it was what it was, man. I was never really put on this earth to be a superstar. You know, I was put on this earth to work hard. Like my father worked hard. He worked with his hands. He worked a 9 to 5. So rap came along at a time where I fell in love with it, but I also fell in love with playing football. So I knew I wasn't going to be a professional football player. So what's the next best thing to fall back on was hip hop, you know, hip hop rap. So that's what we did. And, you know, it was me, Mark, and Buff, and we were good friends. We grew up together. So we just formed a group, and we just took our talents to a rap contest, and it just so happened we won the rap contest. And we took off from there, you know. So it wasn't like we were sitting around saying, when we become stars and we're gonna make a lot of money. Everything happened so quick.
Right.
So now I look at things now, everything was a freaking blur. And I say to myself sometimes, were we really in the music industry? Did we really? I mean, because sometimes I think like, did this really happen?
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? Like the 2 members are gone, and I'm like, did this shit really happen? You know, you got to pinch yourself sometimes to let yourself know you're still alive sometimes. And I'm being 100% honest. It's like, am I still really here? You understand? And, you know, so just being in Brooklyn and shooting that video and looking around at my old neighborhood, it brought everything back into perspective. Like, this is crazy right now. Like, the park where we shot the video at, we went to junior high school at that park. Like, that was the park we played football at. Got into fights damn near every day. There was always a fight after school. I mean, Kokane knows about that. You know, there's a fight every 3 o'clock every day. So just being around the old neighborhood, man, it just brought everything back into perspective, and it kind of woke me up. Like, oh shit, I used to live out here. Like, I grew up here. Right. So, you know, it's like I said, I never really got into all that celebrity stuff anyway. You know, I never really got into that stuff. It was just, you know, after parties and all that crap. I'd rather just go back to the hotel and just chill and relax and catch up on a college football game that was still going on ESPN. That was my thing, So never really got into all that fanfare and all that stuff like that. That's why when people approach me to this day, and they say stuff like, it's an honor to meet you. I'm just a regular dude. You know what I'm saying? There's no honor to meet you.
He's very approachable, man. And I
I'll
identify
kick it with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
What keeps you in New York?
What keeps me here? Because I don't like the South. My sister's tried to get me to move to Orlando. I never really was a fan of the South. I'm a city guy. So. Mm-hmm. That's where my heart is at.
And Kokane, what brought you to Tacoma, like in Washington in general?
Well, I have to plead the fifth on some things, and I'll tell you. But it was cool. It was different from the place I was
laid back.
And I'm a family man. I've been with my woman for 37 years, married 31. We have 8 wonderful children. Shout out to my children.
Salute to that. Salute.
And shout out to my queen. But, sometimes when you hear that voice, you could be too busy putting that call on the answering service. And I just answered that call, which was the voice of God,
Well,
and God said, I want you to move to a place you don't really know nobody.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I moved, and it was a nice pivot, and, I can contribute that to God, the universe. Will put me in a better position, frame of mind, because, I went back to hustling. I went back to what I know how to do, back in the days after the doghouse thing was over with and MCA filed bankruptcy, Chapter 11. I got out of my contract because that was it. And went back to the streets, hustling, got caught up, did some jail time. And every time I was on my bunk or, it's everybody in the child place and like a movie that I was in, like Old School with Will Ferrell, that would come on. And after that, a commercial would say, Seattle. Yeah. And then I had 2 people next to me on my bunk. Oh, man, we're going back to Seattle. Oh. So it resonated because I couldn't stop hearing it.
Wow.
Right.
And then I decided to make that I call it groundbreaking, changing your life pivot. And listen,
God will get your attention someday.
Yeah. And I got up out of there, and it was rough the first 2 or 3 years, but that's just the test. It's real. It's not that I was so like let me put a word on it, like, ooh, things was falling out the sky and I was floating to Seattle. No, wasn't like that. It was like very calm, very peaceful. I heard the voice of God.
Wow.
And I moved on it. And here I am today, been up here 14 years.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful thing, man. Kids raised.
That's dope.
None of my kids never suffered some of the things I did. And at the end of the day, that type of energy even reflects in my music, the way I conduct business, the way I treat people. You know what I'm saying? Because I done been down, and I know what it's like to go through it, to get to it. You know what I mean?
Well, I really appreciate you guys sharing. I think what you guys have to say is very inspirational, and I think it's important for hip-hop to stay being a community, even though there's like rough patches here and there. Like, I decided not to go to college to focus on hip-hop and be part of the Seattle music scene here. Like, music is my life, and it's very inspirational for me, and I feel like I'm on the right track when I'm able to talk to people like you guys.
Right on, nephew. That's what it's about, If you feel like your road, because you can't do what people want you to do. You have to do what you want to do. And I tell my kids that all the time. You don't have to pick up a microphone. You could be a doctor.
Right.
You could be a scientist.
Easily.
You know what I'm saying?
Easily.
So, I continue to pray for the younger generation, such as yourself. You have intelligence. You know, you have boldness. 'Cause you got to be bold and intelligent. And as pillars of, you know, hip hop, we appreciate that. See, youngsters, it's so simple. It's called RESPECT, respect. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how we were raised, man. We were raised that when Granny said, "Get your elbows off the table, son," you couldn't go like, no, you find yourself on the floor picking up your mouth.
Oh yeah.
You know, so we need to get. It's not that we're bashing anybody, because at the end of the day, God is the Heavenly Father is all of our judges. He is the judge. I mean, but it's the content of your character that we know brings certain things with it that can throw you off with karma. And we're just a messenger, so don't kill the messenger. You know what I mean? We encourage youngsters out there to be excited about when you hear Kool Rock Ski or Kokane or whoever from that time that happened to survive. I know I had a recent partner that just got killed out here. His name was Gonzo. Rest in peace, Gonzo.
Oh, rest in peace.
But he left so much of a good thing, because he was saying he actually did that with Snoop Dogg and Bosco, guns down, hands up. He started a seed. So it's the same thing that I explained about Gonzo. All we doing here is planting seeds. And the youngsters, if you're able to get a hold of it, you're going to be even more powerful, because you acquire wisdom yourself, and then you acquire wisdom from your Mr. Miyagi, your Danielson. All we just saying is wax on, wax off. If you do it well, you can incorporate your own moves and take it to the next level farther than we did.
Yes, sir.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And with that, what is the easiest way to reach both of you guys? I'll start with you, Kokane.
Oh, I'm super simple to reach. You can reach me on my Instagram at KOKANE_brand. That's how you spell cocaine. Don't spell it the drug-related name. I'm not the drug rapper. I'm the dope MC. You can also, for any inquiries for, you know, me and my brother, he'll tell you his information. If you're trying to get at him through me, you can hit us up at buddyboy ent.staff@gmail.com. You spell it BUD, E as in Eric, BOYENT.staff.com at gmail.com. I hope y'all got that. I'll give it to you afterwards.
Yes.
But the Hush single is doing good. Go to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to my brother's channel, my channel. Once again, the video is called Hush. If you want me to spell it for you, it's HUSH. Real simple. And go run them numbers up, leave a comment. You know what I mean? And stay tuned. We got some more goodies. We got a project coming in 2022. And we're excited for the culture. And that's what it is, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Now you, Kool Rock.
I'm on IG at legendary Kool Rock. What's it? Legendary Fat Boy Kool Rock Ski. You know, and on Facebook, I do more Facebook than Instagram. Damon Kool Rock Wembley. So yeah, that's what you can reach me at that.
And do you want to leave the audience with any final words?
Yeah, man. Just keep supporting the music and the culture. Keep supporting the classic hip hop artists who laid down the foundation, and don't forget about them. Don't overlook them, and just take care of yourselves health wise. Stay out of trouble. It may sound like a cliche, but I'm telling you, stay out of trouble, because they're not playing in this country anymore. They'll lock you up in a minute. Just stay out of trouble, and get a good education, man. If you can't get a good education, get a good job. There's so many different ways you can make money now legally. So and thanks for being a fan of Kool Rock, Bad Boys, and Kokane, and and keep supporting us, and thank you for supporting us. Please keep supporting us.
Yes, sir. This is the NAST Podcast with
Kokane
and
Kool Rock to the ski.
And we did it.